In our public session, you described bringing the Saudis along, or helping them see that that was the right thing for them to do. And we spoke a little bit about the Russians. But I understand that Russian objections in Paris, in part, derived from some history, as well as Russia being a big oil producer and so forth. And how did you deal with Russia, or how did you interact with Russia or their representatives in order that they at least went along with the deal?
You know, what was interesting in this process over several years is that we came out of Copenhagen where there was blame galore. And everyone was blamed, and there were pointing fingers everywhere. And we were able to change that culture to one where no one wanted to be blamed anymore. Everybody wanted to be part of the solution, because the momentum towards success and the momentum toward achieving something historic had been built so firmly that you don't want to not be at the party, when the door is open. And so the Russian delegation had a really hard time there, because they had objected to the agreement that was reached in Doha, not really for terribly substantive reasons, but more for procedural reasons that had to do with translation into Russian and other procedural things. But they were very intent on that objection, and actually even took it to the courts, as I have mentioned. So what was interesting as we proceeded with this is that when we got to Paris, they again weren't totally thrilled. But there was one piece that they really wanted, and that was they wanted the text translated into Russian before they approved it. That was the first time, because I don't think we even did it in Lima, that was the first time that it dawned on us that the UN works in 6 languages, but we negotiate in English, although we have translations, simultaneous translation into 6. But all documents had been previously adopted on the English version. The Russians then decided that they wanted to see the Russian version. And translating a long text overnight or in a couple of hours is not easily done in the year 2015. Today we have translating software, et cetera, which you would still have to check. But we had to make that commitment to him that we would get him a Russian text before he had to approve. And that meant a huge amount of backroom work with the official translators to make sure that that would happen, and that he would have the time to look at it and make any corrections that he thought was necessary. But he never expected that that promise would actually be delivered. He thought that it would be impossible, because it had been impossible up until then. He thought that it would be impossible to have that text before approval. And he thought that that would be a great excuse. And, a heck of a lot of backroom work, but we got him the Russian translation before approval, and he was able to read it and approve it. And I went to him and I said, "Did you read it? Did you study it? Do you have any corrections?" He said, "It's perfect." I go, "So do we move forward?" He said, "Yes." But he wanted that recognition, right? You have to understand that this is, yes, Russia is one of the 6 languages, but it does not command the same recognition that other countries and that other languages command. and he wanted the same recognition. In fact, he wanted higher recognition because he wanted to see it in his language. No one else asked for that.
Thank goodness.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, because
Thank
if that got
goodness.
out, boy, nobody could not. Yes.
But it's very interesting how, everyone in the end had their not little, but something that was really important to them. And it was about understanding, it's not about the Russian translation. It's about what does that mean for him?